Hello and welcome to the Blue Monday podcast, discussing the town up or down since 2015. I'm Richard Woodward and you're tuned into a pre-match special in partnership with our friends at the Greyhound Pub in Ipswich. I say pre-match special, I probably mean more of a mini pre-match, given some of the absentees in the Blue Monday squad this weekend due to Easter. So you've got just me, but we'll be talking about Rotherham season to date and their record against us. We'll talk about key personnel, their style of play, how they score their goals and how goals conceded, and formation and selection before speculating as to how Kieran McKenna might address this one. So let's jump straight in. So Rotherham find themselves third in League One, having been in the automatic spots for most of the campaign. Pretty good stats there overall for the season, but you can see there in the 9 defeats overall this season, 4 of them have come in the last 6 matches, putting them 22nd in the form table. All of this run of form seems to have culminated around the Pizza Cup final over Sutton United, which they did win in extra time, but defeats to Shrewsbury, Charlton, and most recently away at Portsmouth. And 3 goals conceded. They're very uncommon. We'll talk more about their goal record, particularly away from home, later on. But certainly concerning form for Paul Warne as the season reaches its conclusion. 5 points from the last 7 league games. Last time out against us was more typical of a Rotherham away performance. 2-0 win for the Millers on the road at Portman Road, and frankly it was the most dominant 2-0 I think I can recall in recent memory at Portman Road. Paul Cook's side never really in the game, and perhaps alarm bells starting to ring that maybe Paul Cook wasn't the man for the job. The overall record, Town with 15 wins to Rotherham's 12 with 8 matches drawn. Worth noting though, the last time Town actually won at Rotherham, 2015, November 2015 to be precise, with goals from Pittman, Douglas and a hat-trick from Daryl Murphy to net him his first goals of that campaign, having come off the back of the 27-goal haul from the 14-15 season. Town rushed into a 4-goal lead, as you can see there, and Rotherham pegged us back to 4-2 before Murphy made the points safe. But worth noting, since then, 3 defeats in a row at the New York Stadium, not looking good there, but those records have to change at some point. So let's talk about key personnel. The boss, Paul Warne, a name very familiar to Town fans now, born in Norwich, a Norwich fan, never really played for them. I think that's maybe a misconception that he was played for Norwich. Certainly started out in non-league in Norfolk, but certainly a person with good motivation to get the win on Saturday for his side. Oldham player and Rotherham player, 477 appearances, 64 goals as a midfielder, and been Rotherham manager since 2016, managed 277 games, 105 wins, 59 draws, 113 losses, giving him a win percentage of 37.9%. Worth noting there's a couple of challenging seasons at championship level which contribute a good chunk of those losses, but 2 promotions and 2 relegations under his belt. He'll be hoping for a 3rd promotion at the end of this season. In terms of other key personnel, the man stealing the headlines at the moment, Michael Smith, 18 goals for the campaign, putting him 6th in the League One top scorers list. We'll talk more about him shortly. In terms of the assist makers, there's 3 players there on 6, Wiles, Barlaser and Smith himself, and he's also got the most minutes, albeit he's made 1 less appearance than the top appearance maker who's actually put most minutes on the pitch. 3,561 minutes there to be precise. In terms of discipline, Ollie Rathbone, 10 yellows but no red cards, and he puts in the most tackles per game, 2.5 tackles per game from midfield. So let's start analysing the style of play. It shouldn't come as any surprise that Rotherham are more of a direct side than most in this division. Possession 50% on average, putting them 12th in League One, moderately higher at home to be expected, but even that puts them 12th in League One. And the pass accuracy also not particularly good, 65.2% overall, moderately higher again at home, but 19th highest pass accuracy in League One. Not particularly good, and not surprising when you consider that their short passes per game is the 22nd highest in League One. Long passes per game, 3rd highest, 34.6 long passes per game on average, tells you the story. The shots per game, pretty decent as well. Second in League One on shots per game overall. Generally get a bit more shots per game at home, which is to be expected, but actually overall for the league, that puts them 5th as compared to the overall record. Again, the away form is bolstering their stats there. But 21 clean sheets, top of League One with clean sheets. But look at these, 7 of those clean sheets have come at home. Only 7, which puts them 11th in the home clean sheet record standings. But 21 clean sheets, most of which have come away. More to that in a second. And the discipline, I keep saying that word, 54 yellows is actually pretty good. It's the best yellows record, as in it's the lowest number. Joint first in League One, but 4 red cards is pretty bad. Let's talk about how the goals are scored. 64 goals for them overall for the campaign today is the 8th best in League One, but much more goals scored at home. This league record away from home, very strange. We'll talk more about that shortly and how they've managed to achieve that. Open play goals make up the majority, unsurprisingly. Not too many counter-attack goals, though they do have pace out wide. But the set-piece danger is there. The height we've talked about there. No surprises that set-pieces contribute a good chunk of their goals. Penalties, there's a few of those. But long-shot goals as well. When it's not working, they will shoot from range. We know about Ben Wiles and his goal past Christian Walton in the game at Portman Road earlier in the season. That is not uncommon for them. And let's focus on Michael Smith, 30-year-old Michael Smith, who scored the winner actually in the 1-0 Paul Hurst game, if you remember the start of the 18-19 season. And this is his most prolific campaign with the 18 goals since 14-15 with Swindon. He likes to drop deep, he likes to play out wide, but his 40 starts, as I mentioned, 18 goals, 6 assists and 10 big chances created. He's contributed 28% of Rotherham's total goals. And again, no surprise that of his 18 goals, 8 have been headers. So clear present danger there, particularly in the air. The Town backline, missing the likes of Edmondson and Burgess, will be up against it. In terms of the goals conceded then, it's not great viewing here. 29 goals conceded is the best defensive record in the division. But look at the home record there on the right. 9th in League One, 21 goals conceded, which means 8 goals have been conceded on the road, which is crazy when you think about it. That defeat to Portsmouth last time out was the first time they conceded a first half goal away this season, Joe Fairs reliably informs me, and that constituted 38% of their away goals conceded. Crazy amount of clean sheets on the road, and only their 4th defeat on the road as well. 11 wins, 5 draws otherwise. Yeah, it's probably better to play Rotherham at home, frankly. In terms of the way the goals are conceded, noting again we've got the home record there on the right. Open play goals making up the large majority, but I'm talking 21 goals overall, majority of which are scored at home, frankly. They're not going to concede on the counter-attack, although Portsmouth did get some joy attacking down the wide positions, and we'll talk more about how that relates to personnel shortly. There's a moderate danger from set pieces, but honestly, this is a team that is set up not to concede. But as Portsmouth proved on Tuesday night, it is possible to do it. And why is that? Well, let's have a look at the average positions, both for the Charlton game and that Portsmouth game, noting that these are both Rotherham. Ignore the colour schemes there. Look at number 6, Richard Wood. We mentioned him before. He sits there as a bit of a sweeper, actually, but is getting on a little bit. Richard Wood is 36. Former Sheffield Wednesday and Coventry defender. If you can get in behind and down the side of Rotherham, noting again the wide positions aren't necessarily too wide, if you can get past Richard Wood, you are in. And that's what Portsmouth did for their second goal. They countered very quickly, a long throw from the keeper to the middle of the pitch, out wide with George Hurst, and Harness tapped in. So you can get in behind this team if you attack them with pace. So let's talk about Paul Warne's preferred formation and possible selections, noting there's a few injury doubts and question marks, and certainly some rotation in the last week or so due to form of key players. I'd expect him to go for the 3-1-4-2 formation. It's been used most of the season, though Paul Warne has debated going to a 4-5-1. I'd expect, given the importance of the game and given the need for consistency and trying to get back into form, now is probably not the time to dabble with a slightly different system, but you never know. In terms of likely selection, worth noting that keeper Victor Johansson has come into the side due to a long-term injury to other keeper Josh Vickers. I'd expect Arique and Wood certainly to be in the back 3, possibly joined by Harding, who can play on the right-hand side. Arique can play anywhere along those back 3 positions, but as we saw previously, Wood, number 6, tends to sit, and I'd expect that to be the same. In terms of the midfield, Barlaser is one of the key players this season in respect of goals and assists, having his most prolific season of all time. The young 25-year-old one-time Newcastle youth player has scored more goals this season than his previous 3 combined. So certainly, despite sitting deep there and providing a bit of a defensive shield in midfield, can score the goals and will take penalties if they win one. In terms of other midfield players, I'd expect it to be Wiles and Rathbone. Wiles, as we mentioned before, scored that goal at Portman Road and is also on a good run of scoring as well. His most prolific season too, and is only 22 years of age. In the wide positions, there's some question marks here. I'd expect Shane Ferguson to return to the team. He also scored at Portman Road in November. An possible injury doubt to Arsenal loanee Geordie Asai Tutu, who can play both sides of the wide positions but has been playing on the left. He left Fratton Park on crutches on Tuesday, but is expected to return to training on Friday. Ben Wiles was also a doubt, but is also expected to train as well. So I'd expect possibly Ferguson to come in there with Osei Toto on the bench, but I would expect Wiles to retain his place. Up front, real tricky situation here. We've mentioned the form of Smith, so he is almost certain to start. In fact, he will start unless there's something that I'm unaware of. But worth noting the issues that they've got alongside him. It was Freddie Ladapo for the majority of the season. He's actually scored 12 goals in 29 appearances in all competitions, but no goals since mid-February on the back of a transfer request submitted in the January transfer window, which didn't pay off. He's still in the squad, and maybe that's part of the unsettling of the team that's happened in the last few months that's caused the form to drop off. Other option there, Coyote only has 1 goal in his 20 appearances, so I'd expect Ladapo to return to the team against us. Will Grigg is a name that's known to a few of you, I'm sure. He is on loan from Sunderland and he is still returning from injury, so he won't be available either. So this is the team that I'd expect, with Johansson in goal, Requay, Wood and Harding at the back 3, Barlaser in defensive midfield, Ferguson and Benny on the right, Wiles, Rathbone in centre, and Smith and Ladapo up front. So what about Ipswich Town? Some real head scratchers, not least in centre of defence given Cameron Burgess' suspension. The big question is, will Elkan Baggott get his league debut? My prediction, my suspicion on this one, which might not be popular, is I think this is a bit of a challenging game to chuck in an experienced player like Baggott. Certainly has the physical stature, but I would expect McKenna to go for a little bit more experience and go for Dominic Thompson in the left centre-back position. Otherwise, I'm not expecting a huge amount of changes. I'd imagine that Selina will come back into the team. Not sure what the situation was with him last week away at Shrewsbury. Perhaps it was illness related. We knew that was in the camp. I'd expect Penny to retain his place in left wing-back, Burns on the right, and I quite like the idea of trying Chaplin out front, and I'm going to go with Norwood and Chaplin as my front 2. But what do you think? Let's have your predictions for lineup. And most importantly, what is your score prediction? This is going to be a tough one, as we mentioned. Rotherham off form. I wonder whether Town can scrape a draw in this one. I think maybe I'm going to go for that. I think Rotherham definitely wounded after the last few weeks. Certainly Kieran McKenna's pre-match talks about setting standards and levels of performance going into the summer for next season. I wonder whether this might be a boring 0-0 for the Sky cameras. So do you agree with me, and would you play Thompson over Baggott, or have I got it totally wrong? Let me know in the comments, and whilst you're at it, give us your score prediction as well, and don't forget to pop us a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already for more content just like this on all things Ipswich Town. Thank you to our friends at the Greyhound for sponsoring this show, and don't forget to catch up with the Flagship show available on Sunday, which will talk about the game and figure out what we do next against Wigan. Thanks for watching.